Chapter 3. A light drizzle gently caressed the tennis court of Palmaru, making the crisp white lines and taut nets glisten. Damien Malesherbe, usually so self-assured, was visibly tense as he practiced alone. The balls bounced with almost mechanical regularity, but his mind was far from calm. He knew the selections were approaching, and the stakes had never been higher. Stéphane Roux, true to his impartial and rigorous role, observed him from a distance, his piercing eyes scrutinizing Damien's every movement. Finally, he approached, his impassive face betraying no emotion. "Damien," he said, his deep voice resonating in the morning silence, "today, you must show not only your talent but also your ability to understand and apply a certain behavior on the court." Damien nodded, feeling a knot of anxiety in his stomach. "Yes, Mr. Roux," he replied, his voice barely audible. He knew that this day could mark a decisive turning point in his career and life. As the students gathered around the court to watch the selections, a palpable tension floated in the air. Justin and Simeon, Damien's cronies, stood not far off, exchanging knowing looks. The selection match began. Damien faced a formidable opponent, a player known for his endurance and precision. The initial exchanges were intense, each hit resonating like thunder in the attentive silence of the spectators. Damien used his strength and natural talent, but this time there was something different about his game. He seemed more focused, more strategic. As he prepared to serve, he noticed Justin and Simeon whispering to each other, their malicious gazes directed at him. He realized they were plotting to make him fail, using the same underhanded tactics he had once used against his own rivals. The perfidy of his former friends was a mirror of his own past behavior, and this realization hit him hard. Despite the betrayal, Damien decided to focus on the match. He remembered Stéphane Roux's words about his behavior. "True strength lies not only in the rage to win," he had said, "but in the ability to play with integrity and respect for your opponents." Each exchange became an internal battle for Damien. He fought not only his opponent, but also his own demons. The hits from his opponent seemed to reflect his own doubts and fears, but he faced them with new determination. He used thoughtful strategies, anticipating his opponent's moves with calculated precision. The match reached its climax. Damien, exhausted but resolute, found himself at a critical point. He remembered the need to combine strength and wisdom. He then executed a perfect shot, a strike that required not only strength but also strategic precision. The ball flew over the net, landing just inside the line, sealing his victory. Silence fell over the court before the spectators erupted in applause. Professor Roux, observing from a distance, nodded slightly, a sign of his approval. Damien stood at the center of the court, breathing heavily, but with a newfound respect for himself and the sport he loved. After the match, Damien approached the professor, his face marked by fatigue, but also gratitude. "Thank you, Mr. Roux," he said simply. Roux looked at him with a rare glimmer of pride in his eyes. "You took a significant step today. Remember it." Damien knew he had secured his selection. Deep down, he understood that his overconfidence might have worked against him. What he had presented today was undoubtedly his ticket to the Olympics. But Damien did not revel in it arrogantly as he would have in the past. He realized that even if he wanted to share it with someone, he had no one. His friends were not truly friends, just as he had never been for anyone. As for the others, his long-standing meanness had driven them away. The one who had always promoted being the only one to triumph now felt simply alone. Léon, Paul, and Élodie stood on the football field, radiating satisfaction and excitement after learning of their official selection for the Paris Olympic Games. Laughter and exclamations of joy echoed around them, but a shadow of concern appeared on Léon's face. "This is incredible," exclaimed Paul, high-fiving Léon. "We're officially heading to the Olympics." Élodie, beaming with happiness, nodded. "And I'm sure Léa will be next. She's amazing on the field." Léon, although smiling, couldn't shake a nagging worry. "Yes, she is outstanding," he said, looking into the distance where Léa was warming up alone. Barring any incident, her selection should be a formality. Léa was indeed an exceptional player. Since her arrival at Palmaru, she had risen through the ranks rapidly, becoming the captain of the girls' football team. Her talent far surpassed that of her peers, and she embodied the team's hope for an Olympic medal. Every match further proved her skills and leadership, making her an almost assured candidate for selection. Her evaluation finally arrived. Leah stepped onto the field, her eyes shining with excitement. The other students, gathered to watch, whispered and exchanged admiring looks. Stéphane Roux, true to his role as an impartial and rigorous judge, approached the girls' team, his impassive face betraying no emotion. The match began. Leah moved with impressive agility, each motion precise and swift. She coordinated the team with natural ease, every pass, every dribble, showcasing her mastery of the game. The cheers from her teammates and the applause from the spectators created an electric atmosphere. Despite her brilliant performance, when the final whistle blew, the professor's face remained unchanged. When it was her turn, he stepped forward, and everyone held their breath. "Leah," he began in a grave voice, "your skills and positive spirit as captain are undeniable, but your selection cannot be approved." A shocked silence fell over the field. Leah, her breath short, looked at him with total incomprehension. "Why?" she murmured, her voice breaking with emotion. Stéphane Roux fixed her with a methodical coldness. "Next year, for the Olympic Games, you will neither be of age nor graduated from schools. You cannot miss your diploma exams to participate in the Olympic Games." Léon, who had been watching the scene with growing tension, felt a rage boiling inside him. He stepped forward, his fist clenched. "That's absurd," he shouted. "She is clearly the best player we have. Her age shouldn't be an obstacle." Roux looked at him with icy firmness. "Rules are rules, Mr. Renart." "But she deserves this chance." Léon moved closer, his eyes blazing with anger. "She has worked as hard as anyone here, if not harder. You can't do this to her." The professor remained unmoved. "The decision is made, Léon. It's for the good of the team, which could be disqualified, and for her own balance." Leah, tears in her eyes, stood beside them, her dreams shattered in an instant. She had given everything for this moment, and now it all seemed to crumble. Élodie and Paul watched the scene, helpless, sharing Léon's frustration. "You are being unfair," continued Léon, his voice trembling with rage. "You talk about justice and rigor, but this decision is anything but fair." Roux did not move, but a fleeting look of compassion crossed his eyes. "Justice is not measured solely by competence, Mr. Renart. Respect for rules comes first." Léon's anger wavered slightly, replaced by desperate frustration. He knew the professor had a legal reason behind his decision, but this time he couldn't accept this injustice. He cast a desperate look at Leah, who stood tall despite the tears streaming down her cheeks. "That's enough, Mr. Renart. As an institution, we must respect the rules," concluded Stéphane Roux, turning on his heel to walk away, leaving Leah and her friends in emotional turmoil. The evening was tinged with sadness and frustration. Leah, surrounded by her friends, tried to find comfort in their encouraging words, but the disappointment was overwhelming. "We'll find a solution, Leah," murmured Léon, squeezing her hand. "I promise you." Leah nodded, trying to regain her composure. "Thank you, Léon, but you know it's impossible." The group remained silent, each absorbed in their thoughts. As night fell and the field slowly emptied, shadows lengthened, and with them the doubts and hopes of the young athletes. For Léon, and especially for Leah, this day marked a test not only in sports but also emotionally. But at that moment, as the group walked away from the field, Léon suddenly stopped, anger taking over again. "If Leah can't participate, then I won't participate either,"